This is a completely crazy naive question I'm going to ask you here. Probably, maybe it's obvious to Costas and yourself, but maybe bear with me here. It seems like a no-brainer to me that you would kind of construct a clinical trial via this patient centricity approach, right? It seems like a no-brainer. I guess maybe if you could speak to, well, why do you think that has not been traditionally the case, and why it's so important to make sure that the patient voice is incorporated into clinical trials? Maybe that would help.
That's an excellent question, and I would say that more and more it's certainly an initiative of big pharma to try to make their trials more patient-centric, and how they do that is perhaps by speaking to a patient or a couple of patients in order to inform it. But by bringing in the patient group, you retain that institutional memory. You bring back the input of many patients, not just one patient. And that one patient who is involved in a clinical trial could be, and I'm not talking about the participant now, I'm talking about the patient advisor to the trial, needs the support and education in terms of health literacy and so forth, and understanding about a clinical trial and the things that can be gathered in a clinical trial, such as patient preferences and so forth, need to work together with the patient group in order to accomplish that goal, and to help to work together with the researchers who are not used to working with patients and with patient advisors and so forth, and then to retain that information and bring that back at later stages, which could be several years later, when often the patients who participated in the trial themselves are not around. Because let's face it, most patients who participate in clinical trials in cancer are at their later stages. They've had all other treatments exhausted, and now they're trying a clinical trial, which is something that should change and hopefully will change. But that's the way it is now. So patient groups can really offer that added value by not only helping all the way through the clinical trial continuum, but post-trial in order to collect data, but also to inform both regulatory and more particularly the HTA bodies. So you would think that, yes, it is a no-brainer that this should be happening, but it's also costly. And it's not also what pharma is used to doing on a more independent basis, and not necessarily in the past being so transparent with all the results and sharing, so openly. But the world is changing, and these principles, at least I think, are being accepted and adopted, if not fully implemented yet, by industry and the academic trials. And speaking of academic trials, we know that in some of the granting agencies, they always require, a patient input or patient advisor to it. But very often, that's almost like checking the box and a request for letter of support and so forth, and then you never hear from the researcher. Well, today what we do is we insist, in order to ensure that this is a reality, we send a copy of the Clinical Trials Transformation Initiative model, our Canadian version, together with the copy of the charter, and we insist that the researchers make a line item in their budget for dealing with the patient group and the patients. So if they have to have that as a line item in the budget, they will take it more seriously and consult with that patient group all the way through the process, and not just fictionally check the box.